Please, hey, I'm hurt
Taking
bad.
cuffs. I don't care. Keep your hands out. Don't move.
Hey, I'm taking cuffs. I don't care.
This is Sanders, and he had just been caught running off with a car that had 2 kids in it. Recently, there have been several trends of kidnappers fleeing a crime scene with both the victim and the car they found them in. Just like this other man too, who not only ran off with a truck, but with a child in it. Seriously, what's in it for these kidnappers, and why are they abducting people?
My daddy is.
Or maybe you'd like to hear about a woman that is a highly wanted kidnapper and had been in the game for quite a while.
Any robberies, homicides, kidnappings, abductions.
All right, Brandy, turn that way. Put your hands behind your back. No dope, right? No. Okay.
But before we look into that case, why don't we start with the kidnapper found with a lady in his car after sexually assaulting her and attempting to drive her to his home against her will. On the 27th of February 2021, at exactly 5:30 p.m., Wisconsin State Patrol reached out to Trooper Jacob Edwards to go in search of a female that was reportedly in a car with a man that had taken her against her will. Trooper Jacob and his team tracked down the vehicle and managed to stop the suspected vehicle near the Monroe and Junia County line. A call had been made earlier to the Wisconsin State Patrol, and a suspect's name, Anthony Campbell, along with a description of his car, had been made. When the police troops stopped the car, it turned out that the description matched the dude driving the car. When Trooper Edwards moved closer to the car, he could smell raw marijuana and was able to spot a female in the passenger's seat, who matched the description of the woman in the Wisconsin State Patrol advisory.
You want to grab her out, please?
Trooper Edwards then ordered his team to take out the woman from the suspected kidnapper's vehicle, and when they did, they began asking her a series of questions. The female had mentioned how although she had entered his car willingly from Minnesota, but upon assault, she had felt threatened.
Because she's tired? Okay. Do you have a valid license? I do. You do?
Female mentioned how she had wanted to get down from his car, but she couldn't, and that at a point they had stopped for gas, and he told her to stay quiet in the car and not, quote, do anything crazy. At this point, Campbell was arrested. He was right away asked a couple of questions, and his answer for taking her hostage had been he had offered to carry her because, quote, she was tired. Police then noticed that the female had fresh wounds on her. They asked Campbell why her lips were split, and he claimed that he had no idea. He claimed not touching her violently, and that he had only picked her up around 9 p.m. from her hood in Minnesota, and they were headed straight to his home in Chicago. He mentioned that he had no idea who she was before that night. However, the female had mentioned that Campbell inflicted wounds upon her right from Minnesota. She had even allowed the police officers to take photographs of her injuries, which had included a bruised lip, injuries on her left chin, and an abrasion on her right elbow. Female also mentioned that Campbell had let her make a brief phone call to one of her friends before snatching up her phone and keeping it away. During that phone call, she had mentioned being held against her will and had most likely made a description of the vehicle. Female mentioned that she had also seen Trooper Edwards at the beginning of the traffic stop and had contemplated mouthing "help me" to the trooper before finally being rescued. But that's not all. The officers proceeded to check Campbell's car at the stop, only to discover 3 bags of marijuana, partially smoked blunts, and 3 pills. Upon discovery of everything in his possession that night, including the female victim, Campbell was charged with felony kidnapping, felony false imprisonment, and false possession of narcotic drugs. Campbell is most likely to be faced with 40 years in prison or a fine of $100,000 or both for the kidnapping, up to 6 years in prison or a fine of up to $10,000 or both for the false imprisonment charge, and up to 3 years and 6 months or a fine of up to $10,000 for a narcotic charge. How about we move on to the next case? On the 11th of October 2022, a dispatch call was made to a couple officers to rush down to a scene. Information passed across to the officers was that there was a woman in a car who appeared to be unconscious. On arriving at the scene, it turned out the woman in the car was truly knocked out. Police went around the car trying to figure out exactly how to wake the woman up and what else could have been going on around the scene. A couple of minutes later, she awoke and unlocked the car door.
Open up the door. Open up the door.
Oh, sorry.
Open up the door. We need to check on you.
Oh, my mom, I was out here. I was charging my phone.
The woman identified herself as Haley and that she had only come out of her parents' apartment to charge her phone in her mother's car. She said she had only taken a little nap and everything was fine. She mentioned recently returning from Florida. However, things became even more suspicious when she identified herself as a 23-year-old to the police. Haley looked much older than 23.
What's your name?
Haley, my mom and him live right
Haley
here.
what?
I'm 23. Yeah, I didn't.
The police then went on with the questioning. They asked where she was working, which she was unable to answer. They asked about her high school. She blurted out a name, but then mentioned that she didn't complete high school. The police also asked her how she came over from Florida, and she said her grandmother had been helping her out with getting plane tickets.
How'd you get all the way up from Florida?
My grandma and him bought my plane ticket.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
The police weren't convinced and proceeded to confirm her identity.
How old are you?
23.
What year was you born?
99.
How many sisters you got?
I have one sister.
What's her name?
Avon.
Hi.
But the police didn't have to do the investigation totally by themselves. They had help from Haley because a few minutes later, after they told her that her identity needed to be checked, the woman told them that her name wasn't exactly Haley. The woman told them everything they needed to know right at the scene. She said her real name was Brandy, and that she was on probation with several counts of different criminal offenses, including robbery, possession of illegal drugs, and of course, kidnapping.
What's your real name?
It's Brandy.
You got a warrant on you?
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of warrant?
Just from failure to appear.
Any robberies, homicides, kidnappings, abductions.
How old are you really, Brandy? How much?
30.
Brandy wasn't even 23 at all. Shortly after revealing an identity, dispatch called the cops at the scene to inform them that Brandy was a highly wanted criminal. She was also a kidnapper that was nationally wanted.
Escape risk. She runs from the cops.
Got murder.
Aggravated robbery 3 times. Man, you got a lot of warrants here, Brittany.
A lot of warrants.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not Brandy, then in charge of a drug possession.
But that's not all. Brandy had a motive that day, and she was halfway through executing it. Not up to 1 hour before the police arrived at the scene, Brandy had picked up a female and kept her hostage in an apartment just a few walks away from the car. Brandy was then arrested on the scene. Brandy was taken into police custody and charged with obstructing business. Her probation was then canceled. And on to the next. On the 1st of March 2024, a 2-year-old child was found abandoned in a black truck on the side of the road.
Hi, buddy. Are you okay?
The child had been kidnapped. Earlier that day, the father of the child had stepped out of his car to run an errand, leaving the child in his black truck, with the intention of returning after a few minutes. However, by the time the father returned to his car, someone had driven off with it, along with his 2-year-old child inside. A call had been made to the police, and they had immediately gone after the car, eventually meeting it at the side of the road. The suspect had run off, leaving the child in the truck. The police had then proceeded to look around the area where the truck had been abandoned in hopes of finding the suspect still lurking around.
That guy just kidnapped his daughter. Okay, the daughter's in the car, so this is kind of a big deal. That's why everybody's here.
Oh my God.
I put it on my kid's life.
Nobody
went
walked.
that way.
Where'd he go though?
I had to have been that way. I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to my grandma.
Let's get the A. Let's get perimeter on the tap.
Close to where the truck had been abandoned, along with the child, was a local gaming business. The police had busted into the place with the aim of finding the suspect. They checked the whole place, leading folks who were inside at the moment outside the building. The suspect, identified as a white middle-aged male, wasn't found.
They got Larry. They got him.
However, back outside where the black truck had been abandoned was the child. The 2-year-old had been left in the vehicle, unharmed and still strapped to his baby seat.
You want to stay in your car seat? I'm a police officer. I'm here to help you, buddy.
Not long after, dispatch called the officers that the suspect had been found in an area close to where he abandoned the vehicle and the child. The suspect was caught, cuffed, and taken away. The suspect was identified as 54-year-old Larry Spence and was eventually charged for kidnapping, abduction, and grand theft of vehicle. But then, still stay glued, because we have one more case for today, and it does seem that most of these kidnappers have a thing for taking cars with kids in them. On the 11th of May 2024, not only was a car stolen, but along with 1-year-old twins inside of it. According to the Oklahoma City Police and reports given by local news, a woman had parked her car by the side of the road and ran into the store to get some essentials. However, a few minutes later, the woman had returned back to find her car gone, along with her kids in it. The police had tailed after the car, but they had found it crashed by the side of the road. However, not only were the kids still in the car strapped to their car seats, but they were also unharmed by the crash. Some folks had witnessed the crashing incident and said the suspect had run off in a certain direction. The police went after him.
He's running this way. He's using a black t-shirt.
I guess one of the guys is running. He's in a black t-shirt. Which direction?
He's going this way. Like this way here.
The witnesses said that the suspect looked Chinese and had on a black top with blue jeans.
What? What is he? White male? Black male? Hispanic?
No, he looks like it's like Chinese.
Black shirt, blue jeans.
However, after several minutes of efforts chasing him, they found him around the neighborhood.
Go, 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 go. There he is. There he is. There he is. Hey, let me see your hands. Get on the ground right now.
He was then handcuffed and taken into police custody. The kidnapper was identified as Chase Sanders. According to him, he had just the intention of stealing the car and hadn't noticed the kids until he got in. However, he kept on driving even after realizing there were 2 1-year-olds in the back of the vehicle. Sanders was charged with kidnapping, larceny, and fleeing the scene of an accident. That's all for today, folks. Tell us what you think about each case discussed in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more updates like this.